Well, alrighty, here we go. We are in space now, time-lapsed for the rest of the docking procedure. Now, I've been excited that the votes are overwhelming. We're going to go to Minmus. But the problem was, if you guys don't remember, when we did our first, we'll call it docking, even though it wasn't really good docking, Valentina went into the space station. So we're doing a station transfer in crew, and we're bringing in the R&D lab, which has been in orbit for quite a while that we were just looking at. So I just did a flip move. I'm calling it the engine flip. I try to get the engine that brought me here flipped and away from the station so I don't knock it right into our target. And then I can move my my way in the rest of the way using the RCS. Now, if you watched the last episode, I'm sorry that you had to go through that and watch me dock. I learned some tips and tricks just from practice. As you can see right now, I'm trying to click on the docking port of my actual space station, but I couldn't do it yet. I'm still a little bit far away. And then on the next docking approach, that's right, there'll be more. I get it down even more. So now I know the target I wanted to control from my docking port and make sure I'm definitely selected on that docking port, which I'm trying to get an angle on. And if I double click on it, I can pull it off, because then the nav ball will be tracking the appropriate target. If not, I'm like tracking the command center of the Monte Station 1, and we don't want that. Because then when we go to docking mode, it truly is like RCS mode. It's very easy to move the ship. I expected this docking not to go well and take a long time, which is why I thought, I'll record it. So I promise you, this is oddly the first attempt of our R&D lab trying to dock. And then I'm still trying to double click on the proper target. But as you can see now, the nav ball, it's all lined up. I'm pointed retrograde, and I'm on down to like 0.2, 0.3 meters per second. So we're moving in nice and slow. So that's going to be how it's going to be. Now the R&D center is going to be awesome to get hooked up, because we can move science into the science lab, and it gets a multiplier where they kind of work on the science for a bit. And every once in a while, you can click on it and transmit that science back to the Kerbal Space Center for, good old R&D magic, which we do still need. Once we do a trip to Minmus and a few more trips to the moon and onward to Duna and beyond, the science is really, really going to be bringing it all on. But yeah, I'm still open to you guys if you want to have something you've designed that is a module type piece that would go onto the space station. Let me know, and if it's shareable or whatever, I would gladly add your modules and make this like a community space station, or get a whole nother space station set up. We know we've got a mission to the moon for one, and we have a mission for a space, like a ground station on Minmus. So things to be done. The next thing I want to do on Monte Station 1 is start bringing up extra fuel reserves, so we can start coming up here, grabbing on to some more fuel, and make our trips outward a little bit easier. The other thing I'm going to be excited about is that I'd like to get a command flight module up here that I can go do the rescue mission. So I can go rescue the Kerbals stuck in orbit, bring them back to the station perhaps, and then we can just bring them back on one of the return trips to complete the missions. So, but we're getting closer in here. I was going in way cautious, like under that 1 meters per second, but I was in like, what's the rush once you know you're on track? And again, I'm looking at that nav ball, making sure that my retrograde is kind of over the pink little cross there, because that's which I'm properly targeted now. I can't. You kind of see the brackets around the docking port, so that's how I know I'm good. Like, it looks, if you look at the ship, like I'm gonna crash into it awkward, but if you look at the nav ball, which is where you should be looking, connection should be fine. So I just have to trust that. Let time do its thing, and we're gonna be good. Now, for the fuel modules, I am going to have to bring up a larger base to get that thing launched. Because, oddly, it's going to be a lot heavier than this science module, because it's going to be full of fuel. And if I use some of the fuel on the way up, it's no big deal, because I can always come back up and dock. And this command module that I drop off, that goes back, it's always a little bit extra on fuel, so it's going to actually transfer fuel over to the ship in the future. But here we go. Ready to touch. Back it off, SAS off, RCS off, and oh, we came in at quite the angle. But that's okay, because there we have it. With the lightning in the background, we have docking. So let's move on to the next one, shall we? Let's get fuel added on, because now Valentina's on her way back and preparing for the Minmus mission that everyone voted for on Monte's Gaming Community Facebook group. Oh, these fairings look so nice. No mods on that, just graphical mods going. And all part of the parts of the base game. We've really come a long way, and I'm very excited to see what the KSP2 brings us. So as you can see, I had an extra like kicker booster there. I've got 3 on there. You can't really see from this angle, but I'm also going with the main sail engine, which we haven't used yet, which, boy, that thing packs a punch. It's twice as strong as anything else. And we're getting some really good views. I know it's really hard for you guys to see, but they added an update for comets. I believe just to the left of the nose is a comet flying. We have the moon rising. Minmus is in the distance. And then Duna was just breaking the horizon. Very, very cool. But especially on the little preview screen as I do my post narrations, it's hard to see. But I do remember some pretty awesome views. So that was kind of funny. What I just realized was that I actually had the engine, the mid-engine was running, so I deactivated that and then just opened up. And for the first time in the distance, you can barely see it. Don't worry, we'll look at everything up close after we've time-lapsed. But we have the fuel portion on its way into orbit. And we're going to try to add this on to Monte Station 1. Now, I did add some struts, and it is still very, very wobbly. But again, it is that mainsail engine which really pushes on there, and then glad to get rid of it and move on here. So now we're controllable. Now we're doing good. This is that normal engine, just as you saw with the R&D lab that I did the engine flip. So the engine flip is not going to happen as successful this time. I'm going to just go ahead and say that now. But deploying half of my solar panels, just so I make sure I don't run dry. So I'm bringing a little bit more power, mainly fuel, on the way up. Hope you guys can barely see it. Minmus behind the moon. Comets in the background. I do think I'm going to bust up the star resolution. I had that pack for the astronomers, blah blah blah, clouds and all that stuff. And I think I might jump back up to that 4K if we don't stutter too much when we get these bigger ships a-going. So yeah, I got to get this thing up in orbit. I'm going to just bring you back when we approach for docking, because Gets a little rough on the getting out there. I mean, I go way too far on my periaps or one of them. So I have to do quite some maneuvers and waste some fuel. But again, that's why I bring all the extra fuel. Oh yeah, it's getting a little bit hot, actually. I'm falling all the way down to about 50, I think it's 44K. Should have brought in the solar, yep, bringing in the solar panels. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save them, and that's exactly why I don't bring out all of them. My engines are on full burn straight away. And all this is doing is really cranking out my orbit in a wonky way. But sometimes that's how you got to do things in Kerbal, right? That's why I bring all the extra fuel. So once I get out to this end, I'm going to add a maneuver so I can circle that out a little bit, and I'll get into a more of a 100 and 150K until I get in a nice intercept, and we'll go from there. So we survived. I don't even think we lost any of the solar panels, and I'll bring you back soon. Alright, it is back soon now. Now it is. Yeah, see, there's the brackets. It's on its way in. Space station, intercept, all good. Now I'm working on the targets here. I'm realizing I should probably get rid of this back engine here, but I like to use it for slowing me down. What I should do, which I didn't realize, was that my main tanks actually had used up fuel. So I should have transferred the fuel back over to the main tanks before releasing it, which is just safer anyway, because then I don't have just a ball of liquid fuel floating in orbit, in pretty much the same orbit as the space station. But you know, we live dangerously on Monte Station 1. Yeah, but I'm gonna burn a little bit more here, and then we're gonna just flip that thing off and lose it. And we're just going to keep on getting closer and closer. Yeah, so the flip didn't go as well this time. But we're not in a collision course. That's nice. I'm going to actually turn on the RCS a little bit and get ready to do a retrograde burn, which is using that H key, the Henry key. And that's what's going to help us kind of get away from the fuel. And I'm setting my control point as the front. See, look at that, even with like time warp. That engine's not really going away. But I know I've got movement to do and places to go. So I'm not too worried about it. And it is a piece of trash. And I have a automatic trash collector from the tracking system that works fantastic. So I'm really not going to worry about the space debris so much. But again, here we go, docking in the dark. No, we will hit daytime eventually. It's funny how the first R&D lab, all I wanted to do was dock during the day. But because when I plan, things go the exact opposite. Yeah, it just didn't work out so well. But this guy, really, I'm trying to think of how I want to grow out the station. I think I'm going to dual this launch. And I'm not going to show the docking of the other one. We're just going to hope it works out. Because I want to add the same exact fuel module on the opposite side of wherever we get this one. So here I go trying to find the station, which, oh, there it is. And I want to click on one of these side ports and be like, no, I want to track that. Double click it, please. And it's just not working. It's too far away. I've got to learn to just get closer. Then change the target and go from there. At least I haven't found an easier way. I've tried to untrack it, and then now I'm going back trying to track it, and it wants to track onto the main bit. So I'm showing you the struggles. The struggles are real. Like, at least I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But we just weren't there as of yet. But the intersect is good. It's pretty far out. We're going super slow. And so I'm not too worried about that. super slow, super slow. Other than that, ease it on in. Ease it on in. Yeah, I used it on in too far. So now I lost my prograde and retrograde, and I'm kind of wanting to just turn it this way and make sure that I align my prograde or retrograde, either one, with the pink line. So now I'm going, oh, wait, oh, wrong way. But let me keep burning because I was realizing if it was prograde, I was actually going away from it. So I wanted to match up my retro here. It's all kind of in the direction of how the RCS was. And then I'm going to flip it. So my docking ports are on the proper side. There we go. And now that pink marker that's more of a circle is, that's more of the one I want to line up. See, so I want to make sure that my prograde is lined up. That means I'll run right into it, as long as my target is the right target. So now if it's targeting the command module of the space station, for example, that's what I'm going to smack my docking port into. So when we get close enough, which I'm hoping to zoom into now, and I see the sun starting to creep around, so don't you worry, we'll get into the daylight. But basically, as I continue to get closer, it would drift, because our orbits are slightly different, so I have to continue to do slight adjustments with my RCS. And I'm turning off my RCS in between these adjustments, just so it's not wasting monopropellant on these fine-tune, between the fine-tune adjustments, because I do want to have the SAS on, and that will use electric charge. Yeah, so that's what's nice. I mean, I could send these things up without, like with a command module and not with the 3 Kerbals. However, I am again going to be doing a crew transition, bringing up a few more scientists. And it was great, though. The last module we added on for the R&D Center, that was actually a mission to upgrade Monte Station. So we're going to go through all of our accomplishments and whatever. The little notepad journal of missions. And there we go. I'm finally going to double-click on the docking port appropriately. So now I'm really happy. I know that the nav ball is right. So again, if I look at the ship and I'm like, hey, the station's to my right, I should move to the right. No, 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 no. The nav ball. My prograde is on the target's target. So that's what you want. Your circle in its circle, and docking will be fine. So not what my first docking episode was, for multiple reasons. For one, I wasn't aiming at the right thing, which I shouldn't be, because I was actually targeting the wrong target. So if I would have been docking properly, I would have smashed into probably the observation deck. Well, no, because I was driving the observation deck. I would have just smashed into probably every solar panel known to Kerbal. Kerbins, all that stuff. But yeah, so after we get this going, it is stretching along, so I don't think we're going to... Well, I knew we weren't going to get to Minmus today, but I was hoping that we could show off maybe the Minmus lander that I'm planning on taking. But Valentina is off on the beach enjoying some well-earned shore leave. And gonna just take some time before she heads up to Minmus. Probably something around next episode. So here we go, moving on in. I realized moving in at like 0.2, 0.3 meters per second, even time-lapsed, is slow. Think about that, by the way. What you're watching is at ×2. So everything you're watching took me twice as long to actually do. But every time we get a little bit faster, and things get a little bit better. So again, look at that. If you look at the ship, it's like, oh no, this doesn't look like it's going to work out. And then let me get a real nice angle here with the Kerbal. Every time it's wrong in the background. And see, now I got to just trust it. I'm at 0.2 meters per second. I'm lined up pretty much as best as we can. See, it's little movements go crazy now. Now I'm going, where's my nav ball? Where's my nav ball? Oh no, I lost it. There it is. Okay. So now I'm going, all right, 0.1, and we are lined up, which means I should just smack into it. I can tell I'm at an angle, right? There's that. But that'll, whoop, the magnetics are kicking on in. And there we have it, my friends. 2 dockings in 1. Calm down, Ricardo, calm down. All right. So yeah, there we have it. It's looking mighty fine, and I need to bring all the fuel over. So we're going to do that next episode, though, everybody, and I will catch you then. Take care.